there, welcome back to the channel. So here is my 1936 cab. It's a 2x12 with Celestion GT75 and then an Eminence red coat, both ceramic drivers. I don't know if I'm in love with the red coat. I'll probably switch that out and put a Celestion blue in it, so it'll kind of have the same thing that this one has. This one has G12H30s. One half of them are Celestion, the other half are Warehouse, and then Alnico blue and Warehouse. One Alnico blue and one equivalent Warehouse speaker. So that's the deal with that one. I'll probably end up with that in here just because I like the combination so much. But I really like this cabinet. It's very useful for playing smaller shows like house parties, smaller stages. Pretty indestructible way to go. I just have my Marshall 18-watt head. It's GDS build. It's currently, Tim's got it. There was something, I thought it was tube squeal, but it turns out I think a pot is grounded out or something, so he's doing his thing on that right now. Or would have that in here on top of this. And I would show you that with this, but I luckily have some video footage of when it was making noise, because this thing was rattling. And these things make noise from time to time. I've done a little research on it, and typically the rattle comes from the handles. So if your cabinet is rattling, check these handles first. I've noticed that the plastic on mine is starting to get brittle on the corners, you know, so that could cause it. Starts to separate from the screw. It's not sitting there really well. I'm thinking maybe some like rubber washers could do something, you know, with that. I don't know. I haven't had that problem. That's not where the noise was coming from for me. So anyway, I've got a little sound sample here that we can play and just let you hear what it sounded like. So hopefully that was discernible. It was, I don't know what it sounds like on the video, but it was pretty gnarly and unavoidable. You know, you couldn't ignore it. And there's always a little bit of noise, you know, with a cabinet and with a guitar. When we're talking about, you know, a lot of power and a lot of sound. The snares rattle. Whenever I'm in here, I can hear the snares rattling and other little loose bits. So that there's some noise, you know, that just comes with the process, but this was so loud that it was, you know, unbearable. So I started looking around, what could it be? And I thought for sure it was blown speakers, which I thought, well, here's my chance to switch them out. But that gets a little expensive, and it seemed kind of overkill, and it seemed also impossible that they were both blown that quickly. I just bought it, and there's no way. I just didn't think they were blown. But that was the only thing I could think of, because every time I've had this problem, it's ended up being the speaker. Several times on the Deluxe, I've thought, oh, you know, it just needs to be tightened up, and it was always, you know, the speaker has to be reconed. These have old Alnico and old ceramic drivers, like this one has a Utah in it. It used to have a Jensen Alnico, which I love as well. I love both speakers. It's hard to decide which one I like better. But they blow easy, so especially the way I play them. If you keep it like around 7, you'll be okay, but when you crank it up to 10 and play like a full rock show, like night after night, eventually I found that those speakers blow. Celestion's a little tougher, and just having 4 speakers or 2 speakers is easier, you know, on the speakers. This is just one. So what's cool about these 2x12s that I didn't know, and I just wanted to let you know if you didn't know, you can easily remove the back, and if your wrist is small enough, you can just reach right in there or have somebody reach in there for you. And I just reached in there and disconnected the speaker wires. That let me test 2 things. One, do I like the sound of a detuned cab? That's the thing where you have one speaker disconnected and you either have it like a dummy speaker in there, and I figured having a real speaker in there would give me enough of a feel of what it would be like. And I've tried it on this cabinet as well, and for whatever reason I don't think that's a match for me. I just like more speakers. More speakers always sound better to me than less speakers, or like any kind of method where there's less speakers. The idea of the detuned is if it's a 4x12 it becomes a 2x12, and if it's a 2x12 it becomes a 1x12. There is a specific way that somebody would design a detuned cab, and that probably would work. I would probably want to hear that, but every time I've tried to do it this way, where you basically just disconnect a speaker or remove a speaker, it just sounds kind of hollow, you know, and it doesn't have the punch that I'm looking for. So I think I'm just a more speakers guy instead of a less speakers guy. I would like to have more speakers, but everywhere I go to play has small stages, and you know, everybody wants it to turn down. I'm not going to take it to, you know, a big huge theater unless I get more, you know, fans or whatever. But when you're playing smaller places, you're limited. You know, it's just too loud. So what's cool is you can just reach right in this thing, disconnect, reconnect. You could troubleshoot without having to pull the whole back off, because it does take a bit of time to get all these screws out. So I tried the Detuned thing, and I noticed that both speakers, it rattled with both speakers, which then let me know, okay, I think it's something in the cabinet, because I seriously doubt I blew up both speakers, you know, right when I just started playing. I hardly even used the thing. So I had pretty much determined that the speakers weren't blown, but I couldn't figure out, you know, what it was that was making the noise. So I continued to reach in this hole and noticed while I was fiddling around that the speakers were really loose. Like the screws were like almost, you know, hand turning loose, that you could like move them. So I took the back off, and let me show you what that looks like in there. There's the back, there's the red coat on the left, and I think this was me experimenting with the Detuned thing. I had one side hooked up and just, you know. But anyway, that's what it looks like in there. And mine has the MDF cabs. A lot of people, I mean the MDF wood in there instead of the ply, which you'll hear a lot about that. But I tell you, every one of these I've ever heard sounds really good with the MDF or with the ply. So there's the speakers. Let me see if there's anything I did in here. I may have just been testing out the sound. But this is where the speaker, you know, you can just see how loose these were. And here I am tightening it up and really getting it, you know, tight to that baffle, because once I heard how bad the rattle was and how loose these were, I was determined, you know, to really crank them down. So I got them both tightened up really well. I guess the point of the video is to tell you that if you are experiencing rattle, the easiest way to ascertain what's going on is to take off this little back bit, you know, where it attaches to the speakers, and then reach in there, check your connections, check to see if the speaker is loose. And if it is, then you take off the back and tighten from there. You might even be able to tighten the way I was doing it if your arms are small enough. You might be able to even tighten them up without taking this off. I didn't try that just because I was just excited that the speakers were loose, and then I knew that that was going to be the problem, and that would be the solution, would be just tightening them up. So after I tightened it up, I sealed it back up again, and here is the little sound sample without making that terrible noise. So, success, which is unbelievable. I was seriously getting ready to order 2 new speakers or have these reconed or whatever, because those GTs are cool. I like them. They come in a lot of older 80s Marshall cabs, G265, G275, G285. I believe this is the 75 in here. All right. So good luck with your speaker cabinets. Don't give up. If you're hearing rattle, don't go buy speakers. Make sure you don't have anything loose, and check these side bits if you're getting rattle that you cannot determine the cause of, because I've read on forums that that's a big culprit. Next time.